Hi all, I welcome you all to the next lecture today. So today we are going to see the theory of turboprop engine. Prior to this lecture, in volume 1, you have been introduced about the piston engine and followed by the turbojet technologies. And you have clearly given detailed exposure to the turbojet working principle and its various parts and their functioning. Today we will see some of the applications of the turbojet engines and then we'll go to the variants of turbojet. The first variant today in our discussion will be the turboprop engine and its merits, demerits over the turbojet and its application. Here, Professor Ravi Kumar, Assistant Professor, School of Mechanical Engineering, Shastra deemed to be University. I welcome you all again in the next lecture today. So today the agenda of discussion is the jet engine applications, right? Then we'll go for thrust vectoring and thrust reversal. These are the two very important techniques that to be used, particularly on the jet engines to uh, enhance its maneuverability, particularly short takeoff and landing capability, as well as basically during landing, right, it will help as a air brakes. So we will see how actually it will be accomplished, right, over the turbojet engine. Then we'll go to the first variant type of the turbojet engine, which is nothing but the turbo turboprop, right? So here you will be exposed to the in detail various parts of the turboprop, in what way it is different than the turbojet engine, and then we will see some applications of turboprop engine. So if we come to the thrust reverser particularly, so the name itself is saying that we are going to reverse the direction of the exhaust, hot exhaust gases coming out from the nozzle. So why geometry, if you look at, these are nothing but a pair of clamshell doors, right, mounted at the rear side of the engine, which when deployed, right, divert thrust normal to the jet direction. So usually the exhaust gases will be adjusted parallel to the flow direction, and here we are diverting the exhaust gases. So when they are getting divert, right, there will be a braking action on the engine or subsequently on the aircraft. So this is going to help the aircraft during landing. So usually when aircraft is going to be land, right, these thrust reversers used to be deployed in conjunction with the spoilers. So spoilers already been introduced to you. Spoiler is a hinge, kind of control surface on the top surface of the wing, which always deployed 90-degree to the upcoming flow, and it disturbs the flow behavior of the top wing, and there will be sudden loss of lift. Utmost care should be taken in particularly thrust reverser system, because by accident, if it is going to be deployed, right, it will destabilize the aircraft, and that may lead to the destruction of the aircraft. So proper functioning is needed when the thrust reversers are added to the ordinary turbojet engine. So this capability is only possible with the jet engine. So let's come to the applications of the turbojet engine. This is the historical picture of the Messerschmitt ME 262. This is also known as German Storm Bird. So in the World War II era, Germany introduced this fighter version as well as version, sorry, aircraft, particularly in the World War II. So you look at the symbol. By symbol itself, you can recognize this is a German developed the fighter aircraft. This is the world's first operational jet-powered aircraft, and the first flight for this fighter aircraft was done on April 18, 1941 with the piston engine, and that configuration is known as Junkers Jumo 210. Later on 18th July 1942, the first flight was done with this jet engine. So till now, a total 1,430 fighter planes were developed by the Germany. Basically, in the period of World War II, it was first introduced in 1944, just before the World War II, right? And it was used by the Air Force, and retired in 1945. These fighter aircrafts were very faster compared to the American P-51 Mustang in the World War II. That's why American faced a lot of problems in tracing these fighter aircrafts. Usually, approximately, they were faster than the P-51 Mustang by 120 mile per hour speed. So, basically, with the help of these fighters aircraft, Germany initially dominated a lot over the Americans in the World War II. Next application is basically Concorde. You may be aware about this, right? The Concorde was developed by a joint venture of British and French, right? British Aircraft Corporation and French. It was the first supersonic passenger airliner operated until 2003. So it was completely grounded in 2003 because of the slowdown in the aviation sector during that time. Total seating capacity in the Concorde is from 92 to 128 passengers, and it is capable of flying at Mach number 2.04. This is the maximum top speed of the Concorde. It has flown first in 1969 and entered into the service in 1976, right, and operated until 27 years. It dominated the passenger airlines particularly. Till 2003, total 14 Concorde aircrafts were manufactured. Its top speed is 2,179 km per hour, and with full fuel tank, it was able to fly a total range of 7,250 kilometers. If you look at the engines, particularly engines are installed here. You look at these are the intakes, right? Through these intakes, here will go inside, and it's a twin engine particularly. And engine basically is a Rolls-Royce Snecma Olympus 593. Sally mentioned here. It is a turbojet engine Olympus 593 on Concorde. So it was the jet variant, right? So it was the first application of the turbojet in the civilian airline. Next application, particularly if you look at, this was the one of the adventurous application of turbojet technology, Thrust 2. So if you look at the Thrust 2, it is a British design and built jet propelled car which held the world record from 4th October 1983 to 25th September 1997. The car was designed by the John Arkwright, and it was driven by the Richard Novel. So if you look at the engine which was used right in this car, the back was the Rolls-Royce Avonjet, right, sourced from the English Electric Lightning, right. It was taken from the aircraft, particularly English Electric Lightning. The top speed, you can see the first earlier record was 650.88 mile per hour, approximately 1047.49 kilometer per hour. And later that record was broken again by the same configuration at a speed of 633.468 mile per hour, approximately 1000 no 19 kilometer per hour. So this is the recent speed, right, top speed, and this was the earlier record of 633.468 kilometer per hour. All right. So if you compare this car to the traditional Formula F1, their speed usually will be in the range of 210 mile per hour, and maximum it can go up to 350 mile per hour. Right. This was the first experimental car, right, which employed the turbojet engine in its operation. And top speed, you can see how fast it is, right? If you go to the next application of turbojet, configuration, it is a helicopter, right? Apache. Recently, our India also ordered, right, Apache helicopter for the Air Force. Air Force. So it was basically developed by the American, right? It is American twin turbo shaft attack helicopter. That's why the name, if you search, it is AH-64 variant. So total variants till now were developed AH-64 A, D, E, and M. Recently, Indian Air Force has acquired the AH-64 D variant. So we look at the configuration, particularly outer geometry. It is having tail wheel type landing gear arrangement and a tandem cockpit. So look at this cockpit. It's a tandem cockpit for a crew of two. So two person can be seated in the cockpit. The top speed for this Apache helicopter is 365 kilometer per hour. Right, it was much more famous, right, attack helicopter used by the American, particularly in Vietnam. Also, they have used the same helicopter, and in most of the Hollywood movies, you might have saw this kind of helicopter, right? So, other applications include commercial airliners, right? Boeing 757. Recently, till modern airliners, we are using these aircrafts. Business and personal jets, right? Learjet, particularly, is one of the examples of the business jet or chartered plane utilizing the turbojet technology. Military bombers, right? Military fighters. These are all different, applications of turbojet engines. Another, this can also be used in a speedboats, right? Particularly for sports activities, right? People are utilizing the turbojet engines, right, in the boat as well. So you can see whenever we are employing the turbojet, right? Turbojet is known for high speed, right? High speed, and it is more effective at high speed, but it is very poor performance at low speed. That's the drawback of turbojet technology. So let's come to the thrust vectoring system, right? Already thrust reverser got discussed to you, right? In thrust reverser, what was happening? There was a clamshell doors, all right, installed at the rear end of the engine, which when deployed was deflecting the exhaust gases, right, at a 90 degree to the normal direction, all right. So that was capable only to deflect a 90 degree, right? That's why we were using the thrust reversal system only for landing purpose, right? But in the aircraft maneuverings, we need to maneuver aircraft all of a sudden at certain angles, right? So we need certain system which can deflect the exhaust gases at any appropriate angle decided by the pilot as per the maneuvering requirement, and that led to the discovery of thrust vectoring system. So thrust vectoring basically redirects exhaust gases to create thrust on a vector other than the center line of the aircraft. So it can deflect, the hot gases coming out from the nozzle at any appropriate angle to provide the desired maneuverability to the fighter aircrafts. Right. The first time it was installed on the fighter aircraft, particularly Harrier. Harrier is a very famous, naval aircraft. Even India is also having Harrier, aircraft, and it is known for short landing and takeoff. It can also do the vertical takeoff and landing. That much capability is there. And then F-22 Raptor, first stealth fighter aircraft, right, which utilize the thrust vectoring control unit and joint strike fighters, right? And nowadays in modern fighter planes, right, in almost all the fighter planes are having this kind of thrust vectoring control system, right? With the help of that, those fighter aircrafts are capable of doing various kind of maneuver. They are capable of having short takeoff and landing, also vertical takeoff and landing. So thrust vectoring can be used to increase maneuverability. First thing, there is a main advantage, or allow a plane to take off and land vertically. That is very good achievement, right, after the invention of thrust vectoring. So the problem of the landing run basically solved by using the thrust vectoring system. So aircraft can take off and land at any kind of terrain with the help of thrust vectoring system. But drawback with thrust vectoring system is that the overall weight of aircraft would be more, because we are adding some extra, the component to the existing aircraft engine. All right, and utmost care need to be taken, right? By accident, it should not be deployed. Otherwise, it will also destabilize the aircraft, and chances of accidents will be more. All right, but this thrust vectoring system is automatically controllable, right? And our automatic computer system can control it, but thrust reversal is a basically manual operated, where pilot has to give the input, right, via the control stick. But here it is basically computer operated system, so chances of mistakes will be less, right, in thrust vectoring systems compared to the thrust reversal system. But net difference between these two, you can summarize like thrust reversal redirects the exhaust gases only at 90-degree, right? So thrust reversal system usually be used during landing only, right? And similarly, if you look at the thrust vectoring, it is capable of deflecting the exhaust gases at any angle, right, to the center line of the aircraft, right? So basically the thrust vectoring will make your aircraft capable of doing various kind of maneuverability, right, compared to the thrust reversal system. Right, that's the basic difference between these two. So if you look at this is an example of turbofan, basically turbofan engine. When we will go in theory, at that time I will tell you in detail what is a turbofan engine. So what basically it is doing, you look at, this is the airflow which is coming center line initially. It is getting deflected here, right? It is getting deflected at certain angle, due to which, right, it will give either increase in lift, right, overall lift on the aircraft. So altitude will differ, right, altitude will differ. So this is one example of thrust vectoring, right? And if you look at this aircraft, right, or this is particularly Harrier aircraft, and it is capable of landing and take off vertically from a single point space. So you look at here, here these are the buckets, right? Thrust buckets through which exhaust gases will be redirected 90-degree to the center line of the fuselage. It's a center line of fuselage. It will be redirected at 90-degree to it. Because of that, there will be upward force creation on the wing, and that will make your aircraft fully airborne. So particularly when you need the vertical takeoff, right? Vertical takeoff and landing as well, we will be using the thrust vectoring system to redirect the exhaust gases at 90-degree. But that is not possible with the thrust reversal, because thrust reversal that will basically will provide the braking action, right, to the aircraft. So it will be acting like a brakes, right, because there on both sides you are deflecting the gases, but here only one direction you are redirecting the gases, right? So based on airflow behavior also, you can differentiate between thrust reversal and thrust vectoring, right? In thrust reversal, exhaust gases can go in both the direction in 90-degree, but here we are redirecting the exhaust gases only in one direction, right, at a 90-degree to the center line axis. And so net effect will be the increase in lift, and that will make your aircraft to V fully airborne. So if you look at the variants of turbojet engines, right, there are basically six kind of variants: turbojet, turboprop, turbofan, turboshaft, pulsejet, ramjet. Then advanced propulsion, engine is scramjet. So one by one we will see, right, what is the basic difference between this. And this picture is basically is showing the experimental aircraft utilizing the ramjet engine X-15, much famous, experimental aircraft used to this use basically American are using it for predicting the atmospheric properties at various altitude. Right, this has been taken from the NASA website. So if you come to the turbo prop engine, if you look from the geometry itself, right, it will be having a propeller, right, four bladed propeller. A propeller it is, and it is directly coupled to the core turbojet engine. So in simple way, we can say the turboprop engine is nothing but it is a combination of turbojet attached with a propeller, right? Like that we can say. And from the piston propeller configuration, already you have been aware that when a propeller is operating at very high altitude, right? Very high altitude and larger angle of attack, chances of separation at the tip, this is called tip of the propeller blade will be more. When air is getting separated from here, there will be not sufficient air which is entering inside this intake. This is the intake, right? Inside the intake, and what will happen due to which there will be loss of power of the engine. So in principle, this is very similar to the turbojet engine. The major difference being that here turbine is designed so that it develops shaft power for driving a propeller. And there turbine was deriving the compressor, right? Here it has been designed in such a way that it can be able to develop a shaft power for driving a propeller to provide most of the propulsive thrust, right? Almost 80% of the propulsive thrust will be generated by the propeller, and rest 20, right, or you can say the 10 to 25% of the thrust will be generated by the core engine. If you look at this core engine is a jet engine, right? And this is the propeller which is attached here, right? And propeller will be generating 80% of the overall thrust power, and 20% thrust power will be generated by the jet engine. Since the shaft, you look at this, the shaft speed of the gas turbine engine is very high. So, but propeller will be effective only at some rated speed. So that rated speed of the shaft need to be reduced, right? In order to produce the power, right? So there is a reduction gearing is also needed, right? You look at this configuration, right? With this component which is added here, a reduction gearing is required to maintain the rated speed at which it can effectively produce the thrust power, right? So total thrust will be the propulsive thrust, right, which has been generated by the propeller, plus jet thrust which has been generated by the core jet engine, right? So this will be called as total thrust. So how propeller is generating thrust? Propeller is expanding the gas, right, from inlet to outlet. So this is called cold thrust basically, and this is called hot thrust, right, which has been generated from the hot exhaust gases. So if we look at the applications of turboprop, right, these are famous applications of turboprop engine. So first one, this one is basically the Bombardier Dash 8. Earlier, it was known as the De Havilland Canada DSC 8, commonly known as now Dash 8. So actually, they developed. If you look at the configuration of it, it is a civilian passenger airliner, right? Utilizing twin turboprop engines, right? There are two turboprop engine, and this image basically have taken from the Japan airline website, right? Source I have mentioned here, airlinesfleet.com. So it is a series of turboprop powered regional airliners introduced by De Havilland Canada in 1894. Sorry, 1984. So it was came into the service in 1984. So it was later bought by the Boeing, right, in 1988, then by Bombardier in 1992, and then by Longview Aviation Capital recently in 2019, right. But the original contributor or manufacturer was the De Havilland Canada, right. And later on, right, as I mentioned, it was bought by the Boeing, then it gone to the Bombardier, and now at present, right, it is maintained by the Longview Aviation Capital, right, which acquired it in 2019. The first flight of Bombardier Dash 8 was in 20 June 1983. Till now, total 1,249 such civilian aircrafts have been developed. Total cost, if you look at, of each unit is approximately 12 million US dollar to 32.2 million US dollar. Right. Second, famous application of turboprop engine is the Linea ATR 42. Linea ATR 42. If you look at this, this is also a civilian passenger airliner, right? Utilizing twin, right? One engine this side and the other side, either side of the wing. So twin turboprop configuration. Four-bladed propellers are attached to the engine, right. You look at here, and here is the six blades, right, six bladed uh, turbo propellers, right, being used in earlier version, that is called Bombardier Dash 8. Alenia is utilizing the four bladed right propeller. This is also a regional airliner, right, powered and produced by the ATR with the final assembly in France, and it was developed in the time of November 4, 1981, right. It was launched as a joint venture between French, now it is known as Airbus, and Aritalia, now it is known as Leonardo SPA. First maiden flight for this particularly civilian airliner was held on 16 August 1984, and the engine particularly that being used over this civilian aircraft is Pratt and Whitney Canada PW120S twin engine configuration, right. Total capacity of this passenger civilian airliner is between 42 to 52 passengers. Till now, total 484 such aircrafts have been developed. Total cost, if you look at of a single unit, is 250 million US dollar. So it is slightly costlier than the Bombardier reset, right, because it is equipped with the radar technology, right, and advanced avionics systems, right, compared to the earlier version, that is Bombardier Dash 8. The next one is the Pilatus PC-12, right. So if we look at the Pilatus PC-12, look at this propeller, right, it is a 5-bladed, right, propeller, right, and it is a single engine basically configuration, single engine configuration. This is the exhaust, right, and this is basically your propeller. So it is a single engine turboprop passenger, cargo and trainer. Three variants came into service. It was came as a passenger as well as cargo and then trainer, developed by the Pilatus Aircraft of Switzerland in 1991, right. The engine, if you look at engine used here, right, is basically Pratt and Whitney Canada PT6, right. Unit cost of entire aircraft ranges between 4.39 US million dollar to 5.4 million US dollar. So the base aircraft unit cost is 4.39 million US dollar. So you may find the application of Pilatus aircrafts particularly as a trainer in the Indian Air Force. Recently they have acquired this, right, in 2009, and from then till now it this aircraft is particularly training thousand of pilots in Indian Air Force. Prior to letters, right, we were using, right, Cessna also being used, right, as a trainer. HAL Deepak, right, in our Shastra we are having one model of it. HAL Deepak was very famous during the era of 1970 till 2009. So finally it was retired in 2009 because this aircraft HAL Deepak was facing problem, particularly in mid-air the engine was going in off mode, and technician particularly they tried to find out the fault, but they were not able to detect it, what was the reason. And because of that Indian Air Force basically lost more than 15 pilots, right. And finally it was grounded in 2009, right, 2009. At that time one green pilot was died, right, in the accident when he was training the co-pilots, right, or trainee pilots. If you look at the green pilots, right, how actually Indian Air Force is producing green pilot, they are investing more than, uh, what we say, 100 crores of rupees, right, in training the green pilots. So green pilots are specialists in flying all sort of aircrafts, starting from passenger to the fighter aircrafts, right. And the Indian Air Force lost two green pilots, right, in 2008, and finally they decided to ground this HAL Deepak aircraft in 2009. And after that they acquired the Pilatus, and at present basically we are using the Pilatus trainer aircraft, right, to train our future pilots. So these are the various application of turboprop, right. With this I am closing the today's discussion, right. If you are having any doubt in this, feel free to write in the comment section, or you can directly approach to me on my WhatsApp number, right. So today basically we have covered three topics. One, we have seen the applications of turbojets, and then we have seen two value addition, what we say, techniques: thrust reversal and thrust vectoring used on the turbojet engines. And finally you have been introduced about the turboprop engine, and parallelly you have also seen the various applications of turboprop engine, right. So with this I am closing the today's discussion. In next class when we'll meet, we will go through the rest of the topics, right. Turbofan, then we'll go to the advanced propulsion engines, ramjet and scramjet. With this the air breathing engine portion will be over. So thanks for listening to today's lecture. See you all in the next class. Have a nice day. Good day.